Something sinister has been brewing at the sacred Thiruparankundram Hills, and most Hindus outside the borders of Tamil Nadu are oblivious to it. There is an attempt to change the Thiruparankundram Hills, one of Lord Muruga's abodes, also called Skandar Malai, into Sikandar Malai. Islamist groups have been trying to foment communal tensions by demanding to offer Qurbani, a sacrificial ritual of butchering goats and roosters at the Dargah atop the hill, which also has the ancient Kashi Vishwanatha temple. So who are the people trying to change Skandar Malai to Sikandar Malai? What is the background of this controversy? In this episode of Cut to the Chase with the Commune, we will explore why Thiruparankundram Hill is sacred to Hindus, the legitimacy of Islamist claims, the legal tussle, and the DMK government's response. But before that, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and engage with the Commune Mag on X, Facebook, Instagram, ShareChat, and Flipboard. You can also read our news and views on our website www.thecommunemag.com. We have mentioned all these links in the description below. The history of Thiruparankundram Temple and the hill goes back to the Sangam age. Sangam text Paripadal, which praises Murugan in 8 verses, also glorifies the Thiruparankundram as equivalent to the Himalayas. As Devas, come and worship here. Paripadal also details the Murugan temple with a mandap, which had murals from our Puranas. Another Sangam text, Agananuru, says that Chera king Antuvan came and worshipped Murugan at Thiruparankundram. Sangam period poet Nakira was from Thiruparankundram, and he sang Tirumurugatrupadai from here, praising Murugan and mentioning his important temples in Tamilagam. It is said that after singing Tirumurugatrupadai, Nakira prayed to Lord Murugan and told him about his wish to visit Kashi, but he could not go there due to his old age. Accepting his prayers, Lord Vishwanathar and Visalakshi Devi appeared on the hill. Even the river Gangai appeared as a small pond on the hill. This is where the Kashi Vishwanatha temple was constructed on top of the hill, next to the pond where Gangai was supposed to have appeared. This also has one of the oldest inscriptions mentioning the Sakti worship during ancient times. During the early centuries of the millennium, Jain monks came to Madurai and took shelter in the hillocks around Madurai. Thiruparankundram was no exception, and few caves have the beds of Jain monks. They also have ancient inscriptions in Tamil Brahmi which have information about the donors of such beds. In front of the hill are a couple of panels with Jain Tirthankars like Mahavira and Parsvanatha and inscriptions in Vatteluthu about who made these panels. There is also a temple of Palani Andavar on the same hill from which the steps to go up to the Kashi Vishwanatha temple start. This was the only way to go to the top of the hill earlier, and it was named Sri Murugan Malai Padai. An inscription about the name was installed by the then MLA Thiru Chinnappa Devar during 1957 to 67 period. A few years back, another set of steps were constructed behind the hill to reach the Kashi Vishwanatha temple. The temple, with such a legacy, faded into obscurity for about 3 centuries during the rule of Kalabhras. After the interregnum, Pandyas recaptured Madurai and started building or rebuilding several temples. They constructed 2 temples on the Thiruparankundram hill, one each on the north and southern sides. Behind the hill, facing south, is a cave temple known as Thiruparankundram, constructed by Pandyas around the 6th century. The shrines inside include Ardhanarishwarar, on whose name it is called Umai Andavar temple. It also has an inscription of Maravarman Sundarapandiyan, who ruled Madurai during the 13th century. The northern side temple was built with the Shanmada concept with shrines for Shiva, Vishnu, Shakti, Ganapati and Murugan. The temple also has shrines for Jyeshtha Devi and Saptamatrikas. It was Pandian Parandaga Niducherian who was instrumental in building the temple. His Mahasamanta commander Satan Ganapati built the shrine of Shambhu as per an inscription. His wife Nakkan Kotri built the shrines of Durga and Jyeshtha as per another inscription. As the temple and the hill are closely associated with Murugan worship, this one became popular. Later, kings, including Nayaks, built many mandapams in front, resulting in the bigger temple we see today. The western side of the hillock has a few Samanar Murais, places where Jain monks resided. Here is Mahavira and the Vattelth inscription next to the bas relief. Says this work is by Ananta Viriyan. On the side, there is another bas relief of Parsvanatha, the 23rd Tirthankara. The inscription on its side says the work was done by Vannan Baladevan. These bas reliefs are supposedly of the 8th century. On the top of the hill are 2000 years old Jain beds with ancient Tamil Brahmi inscriptions. This has one of the longest inscriptions in Tamil Brahmi. The inscription mentions about who had made the bed here. Irukattur ella kudumbikan polalayan seida aisayan nedusatha, meaning the bed donor is Polalayan of Irukattur family from Elam, bed made by Aisayan Nedusatha. It is quite interesting that a family from Sri Lanka donated this, which belongs to the 1st century BCE to 1st century CE. On the other side, there is a Kashi Vishwanatha temple along with a small pond, which is believed to be very sacred. This also has one of the oldest inscriptions mentioning Shakti worship during ancient times. The temple on the southern side was a Shiva temple where Ardhanariswara was worshipped in the sanctum. The temple also has the Vigrahas of Nataraja and Murugan. Unfortunately, the temple was destroyed during invasions and the Vigrahas were broken. Due to this, worship was stopped and the temple stands as an archaeological monument today. The Sikandar Dargah. There is a Dargah atop Thiruparankundram Hill which Muslims claim is the grave of Sultan Sikandar Badshah, a sultan of the Madurai Sultanate. Historians say Thiruparankundram was part of the short-lived Madurai Sultanate, formed after Alauddin Khilji and his Delhi Sultanate army raided the Tamil country in 1310. These armies devastated the region, looting towns and demolishing temples. The successive sultanates too brutally repressed the local Hindus and constantly fought with neighboring Hindu kingdoms. With a strong army in 1377, Pandyan king Thirupandiyan launched an attack on Madurai against Sultan Sikandar Badshah, who was focused on spreading Islam. The Sultan sought reinforcements from Yerwadi, but Thirupandiyan's forces intercepted them, leading to fierce battles in Keeladi, Mana Madurai and other locations. Despite heavy losses on both sides, Thirupandiyan recaptured Madurai. Local Muslims say that the Sultan Sikandar was slain at the Thiruparankundram Hills when in hiding. They had a dargah by his name there and called the hills Sikandar Malai. In the ensuing dispute for the area, they made several attempts to officialize the Islamic name for the Thiruparankundram Hills. On 12th May 1931, a 5-member Privy Council addressed the issue, recognizing the Murugan Temple's long-standing control over the entire hill. Quote, there was no trace in historical works to which had been referred of any interference by Mohammedan invaders with Sacred Hill. They and other predatory forces which established themselves from time to time in Madura no doubt seized revenue-producing lands which formed joint endowment of all temples, and these could have been included cultivated and assessed lands within Girividi. However, but there seems to be no suggestion that Thiruparankundram temple or any of his adjuncts passed at any time into secular hands. During some interval of Mohammedan domination, that mosque and some Mohammedan houses were built. But this was an infliction which Hindu occupants of hill could have been forced to put up with. Unquote. The subordinate judge established that at the time the document was created, government officials considered the entire hill to be temple property. You would think that is the end of the matter, but no. A Vijaya Bharatam article narrates the experience of a Hindu activist involved in reclaiming rights of Hindus over the temple. It states that in the past, the Kartigai Deepam, a ceremonial lighting of lamps, used to be carried out at the stupa in the Kashi Vishwanatha temple atop the hill. However, during World War II, the British banned this practice in Thiruparankundram and it was never resumed even after India gained independence. During this time, Muslims apparently began encroaching on parts of the hill. They apparently buried the body of someone named Sikandar and built a dargah. They also started referring to the hill as Sikandar Hill and placed Islamic green crescent flags atop it.
Chinnappa Devar, a Congress MLA at the time, gathered the public and removed those flags, replacing them with the national flag. The then Chief Minister of Madras Presidency, T. Prakasam, met with Chinnappa Devar and convinced him to end the strike, fearing potential law and order issues.
Muslims claimed ownership of the hill area where the Dargah is located and took the matter to the court. That's when the London Privy Council heard the case and ruled that the entire hill belonged to Subramanya Swami and that the Dargah should not be expanded in any way. Subsequently, Madurai Rajagopal, the former president of Hindu Munani, revived the tradition of lighting Kartigai Deepam at the stupa near the Kashi Vishwanatha temple. He undertook a Padayatra to highlight this cause. Enraged by his actions, fanatic Islamists murdered Rajagopal at his doorstep. Petitions were filed in the Supreme Court to allow Hindus to light the Kartigai Deepam on the hilltop and restore the tradition. The court ruled that the temple could light the Deepam anywhere as long as it was 15 meters from the Dargah. The stupa where the Deepam is usually lit is 100 meters from the Dargah. Although the Tamil Nadu government could have allowed the Deepam to be lit at the same stupa, they chose to appease Muslims by lighting it at a spot 150 meters high near the Uchi Pillayar temple. This location is typically used to light Moksha Deepams for the deceased. To this day, Hindus continue to light Moksha Deep at that spot. Lighting the Kartigai Deepam at a location reserved for Moksha Deepam is said to go against Agama rules. Hindu Munani has made efforts every year to revive the tradition. However, the government refuses permission, citing concerns over law and order. In 2020, Hindu Munani activists defied the government's ban and lit the Kartigai Deepam at the traditional spot. 2 individuals were arrested for this act. A Times of India Tamil report confirms that the Deepam was lit near the Kashi Vishwanatha temple until 1967 and that the police consistently denied permission, providing various reasons. It is alleged that Muslims have taken advantage of the situation and expanded their influence by performing namaz on the pathway leading to the Kashi Vishwanatha temple. In August 2021, a decision was taken at a meeting chaired by the district collector to immediately remove the flagpole illegally erected by Sikandar Dargah. In June 2023, the Madras High Court declined to prohibit the act of offering namaz along a pathway leading to the Kashi Vishwanatha temple. Ramalingam, the state organization secretary of Agila Bharata Hanuman Sena, initiated the petition. In his appeal, Ramalingam asserted that devotees who visited the Kashi Vishwanatha temple at the top of Thiruparankundram often took breaks and had their meals in the Nellitoppu area. He submitted that while so, the Jamaat members of the Dargah started offering namaz at the said Nellitoppu place. He further submitted that the Jamaat members usually offered their prayers at the Pallivasal mosque and that this incident had never happened before. According to Ramalingam's submission, the Jamaat's members' act of offering namaz in Nellitoppu caused disturbances and inconveniences to the public. He alleged that after the prayers, they left behind food waste and plastic littering the pathway. However, the court ruled that allowing 30 minutes of namaz would not harm anyone and assured that it would not inconvenience anyone. Now let's come to the current controversy. On 26 December 2024, police detained Islamists who tried to slaughter animals for sacrifice at the Dargah. Sayyid Abu Dahir, a 53-year-old man from Malayadi Patti in Rajapalayam, arrived at the Dargah with his family, a goat and 2 roosters for this ritual. Authorities stopped the group at the base of the hill, informing them that taking livestock up the hill was prohibited. It led to a protest by more than 20 local Muslims who gathered there in support of the family, arguing that sacrificing animals at the Dargah, cooking and consuming their meat had been a long-standing tradition. Officials advised the group to submit a formal petition, assuring them it would be forwarded to the government for a decision. However, the protesters refused to comply. The police then arrested 10 people, including those who had bought the animals. All were released later, but the incident ignited tension in the area. Many believe that the family and protesters had deliberately tried to create religious discord. On 5th January 2025, a large gathering of Muslim protesters at the hill demanded access to the mosque for prayers. The police denied their request, leading to heightened tensions and a brief altercation. When informed that animal sacrifices were prohibited, members of the Dargah Jamaat and other groups staged protests, raising slogans that disrupted the region's peace.
On 17 January 2025, during the Sandanakood festival, social media posts began circulating about an equality feast planned at the hilltop Dargah where animal sacrifice would take place.
Anticipating potential communal tensions, police implemented strict measures, including barricades and inspections to prevent the transport of animals or meat to the hill. Hindu groups allege that under the guise of celebrating festivals, Islamists have increasingly encroached on parts of the hill over time. They accuse the DMK of playing appeasement politics by either looking the other way or allowing Islamist parties to encourage such encroachment. Furthering tensions, on 21st January 2025, DMK Manapparai MLA Abdul Samad was accused of conducting an illegal survey around the temple to gain control of the hill. Further exacerbating the situation, unidentified miscreants have defaced the ancient Jain caves on the hill by painting them green, an act seen as deliberate vandalism. These ASI-protected caves have Tamil Brahmi inscriptions dating from the 2nd century BCE to the 2nd century CE. Adding fuel to the fire, DMK ally, Indian Union Muslim League MP Nawaz Kani, who is also the chairman of the Tamil Nadu Waqf Board, went with his supporters who had non-vegetarian biryani at the foothill of the Temple Hill, drawing widespread outrage for violating the sanctity of the site. Following this, Hindus have called for the boycott of ST Courier, which Nawaz Kani runs. In a video that was shared widely on social media, he can be seen intimidating police officials to allow them to have the non-vegetarian biryani that they have bought with them. He also claimed that the Dargah at the Thiruparankundram Temple Hill is a Waqf property. On the other hand, the Tamil Nadu police have banned the pontiff of Madurai Adhinam from visiting the Kasi Vishwanatha temple, which is located on top of the Thiruparankundram Hill. The Hindu organizations are not taking this episode lightly. A Madurai-based lawyer has sought permission to offer piglets at the Kasi Vishwanatha temple on the hill. In his petition to the Madurai district collector, Muthukumar has requested approval for the Hindu Religious and Charitable Endowment Department to hold a ritual at the Kasi Vishwanatha temple regularly. The ritual would involve devotees passing through Nellithopu to offer piglets as a form of devotion to the temple. This is based on a Puranic story where 12 Velalas who were cursed by Guru Bhagavan for killing and torturing animals for pleasure were reborn as 12 piglets, orphaned and suffering from hunger on the hills. Their devotion led to lifting of the curse, wherein Lord Shiva assumed the form of a mother pig and fed the 12 piglets. Long story short, there cannot be any neutral position on the identity of the Thiruparankundram Hills. Which side will you speak up for? Let us know in the comments. We will see you in the next episode of Cut to the Chase with the Commune.